Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea and sit back and let's talk about the weekend. It is Friday, and we have actually a lot to cover today. And it's unfortunate that the 1st of June starts on a Friday. So we have not only the weekend to look at, we have the Human Design Week, which begins tomorrow, to look at. We have the month of June to look at. And then I've also pulled an oracle card. So let's jump right in. Let's see who we have with us this morning. Good morning, Roseanne. It's you and me, babe. That's all, right? It's just you and me out there this morning. It's a lazy day. Oh, no, there's other people. There's Michelle Gay. Good morning, Kristen. Good to see you out there. So let's dive in because I do have a lot to go over, or it seems like it, at least is in my head. There's so much. And I'm also struggling this morning. I don't know if anybody else is struggling, but here's what I'm feeling. Good morning, Mimi. And I woke up confused, in a state of not confused like, dizzy and oh my God, what am I going to do? But I spent a good deal of time yesterday working on my gene keys. Gene Keys has been in my uppermost mind for the last, several days. And I came away at the end of the day, literally almost just throwing the book away. Away out of my field of attention. Because it seems like there is so many contrary messages that I'm getting about who I am, about what I'm here to do, about how it is I'm here to do it. And I hate it when that happens, right? It's almost like I went on a spiritual overload, and it reminds me that a lot of the energies right now are about trying to hold into some kind of balance, right? Today, I'm not going to focus on spirituality even 1 minute on my own work. I've put it away. It's hidden from me for the moment. And I'm just going to give myself maybe some integration time so that I don't let that confusion run away with me and cause me to make decisions. Yes, Roseanne said the perfect word, conundrums. Conundrums. That is exactly what I was coming up with yesterday. Lots of conundrums. And the more, the more I looked at it, the more I got crazed, right? And the whole message in my chart is about stillness, is about quiet, is about withdrawal, right? And solitude. And yesterday I was just, I don't know. Anyway, hopefully that straightens out. And I have a feeling that that is the case, that there's something bigger going on in the behind the scenes. And there's not much else I can do about that right now, right? Except to live through it. And here's a key word for you all that we'll be talking about: having patience. Yes, I'm so good at patience. Roseanne, I know you're going to see the light here for yourself as well. And a couple of others of you, I bet you're going to see the light when you see what the energies are that are coming up. So let's just talk about the weekend first. I think we'll go weekend, week, then we'll look at June, and then we'll share the oracle card, which is almost a laugh, slap in the face here to me. The void of course moon. Yes, we start the month of June with a void of course moon. It begins this evening though, so we have the whole of the day without it. Begins this evening West Coast time at 8:37 p.m., 11:37 p.m. for you all on the East Coast. But it's a longer one. It lasts until 3:07 p.m. tomorrow afternoon on the West Coast, 6:07 for you all on the East Coast. And just at 3:07 p.m., the moon moves out of the sign of Capricorn, where it will be from now until then, and into the sign of Aquarius. So it kind of gives us an interesting weekend, right? We have this maybe Capricorn Saturday where we can get some things done, maybe get your shopping done, get the yard work done, get some cleanup or catch up done, get your laundry done, all that stuff, the half-does. So that on Sunday, when the moon is in Aquarius all day, we have freedom and we can, do some other things that are much more fun. So that's kind of the setup as far as the moon is concerned in the void of course. And I didn't check this, but I don't think we have another, the next void of course moon doesn't come until late in the evening on the 3rd, which is Sunday night. We'll all probably be ready to collapse into bed by that time. and it is over by, well, we should probably talk about that one because it isn't over. We begin another week. Wow. We begin Monday in the void of course moon all day. All day. It isn't, the void of course moon begins Sunday evening at 10:11 and 10 p.m., 11 minutes at West Coast time. And it doesn't end until 3:54 a.m. the morning of the 5th. So we're looking forward then to an all-day June 4th void of course moon. So if ever there was a day to just sit at your desk and try to catch up or get some things done, that'll be the day. Not a day to really dig in and start something new or, put yourself out in the world in a big way. It is going to be one of those Mondays that are a little more slow Monday. And maybe that's a good thing, right? Sometimes we need that. I know it'll be more difficult maybe to get up and get ready and get moving on Monday morning. But hopefully the energy of the sun is there and you can get up easily and move on. And after, of course, that, then the reason for the void of course moon is that the moon will then move out of Aquarius and into the sign of Pisces. And so we end up with a more pleasant week, let's hope, as we look forward down through the month. So today is Friday, or as Roseanne says, it's Friday. And that is awesome, right? It seemed like this week went by really fast, and I guarantee it's because we had a 3-day weekend. So our work week was shortened by a day. Today, the moon is in opposition to Venus. Venus is in the sign of Cancer, the moon in the sign of Aquarius. And that makes for maybe a more emotionally loving relationship sort of day. Hey, by the way, how did everybody like Diane Lawson yesterday? Wasn't she pretty awesome? Very approachable. She down to earth, Capricorn energy. It was interesting that the moon was in Capricorn while we were talking to her. Anyway, I really enjoyed the information, and I hope you all did too. Today, the moon is also conjunct Pluto, and that is probably what I'm feeling now that I think about it. The moon conjunct Pluto. Let's see, the moon is sitting right now at 15 degrees. Pluto's at 20 degrees of Capricorn. So it's applying pressure, right? The moon is applying pressure to Pluto. Pluto is that planet that often takes us into that underworld, bringing out the deeper things. It can create a power struggle. I'm in an inner conundrum more than an outer one. I feel peaceful sort of on the outer world. It's my inner world that's sort of in turmoil right now. And I feel it in my gut, in my stomach. And thank you, Mimi. It was a great show and guest. She says, I really did enjoy her. I love talking to people anyway, and I love hearing other people's viewpoints on things about astrology. And I have to tell you, I was a little concerned going into that interview, because I'll tell you, it's personal. I'll lay out my laundry here for all of you. There is still a part of me that is very concerned when I come up against an astrologer who is as well studied as someone like she is. Why? Because in my experience, I remembered astrology. I didn't so much go out to the Kepler schools or to any of the associations and learn astrology in that traditional way. And so there's still a part of me that feels inadequate when I am put up against someone like Diane Lawson, who obviously very learned. She is a very intelligent, brilliant woman. If you read through her biography, she's also a Mensa person and some other intellectual group. So I was like almost intimidated. I felt intimidated. And then I realized, oh my gosh, you're being your own worst enemy here, because there's no way that you are anything less than she is. But you see, the problem is that I'm like you guys, right? I'm still struggling in this world. I still am dealing with all of the energies of my own life and having to work through them. The difference is, there isn't a difference. The difference in our expressions of how these things happen is whether or not we're willing to go through with it anyway. I could have just buttoned up shop. And in the past, I might have felt so intimidated that I just closed up and didn't say anything, or didn't talk, over talked maybe, I don't know, but I felt like it went really well yesterday. She has some really great information, and I'm glad that she was on the show. Thank you, Roseanne. I see what you wrote there. And anyway, so that was, let's get back to the astrology of the weekend. I know why I brought that up, because the moon conjunct Pluto often is bringing us that inner conundrum. Let's call it that inner turmoil that is maybe pointing out to you places where you have lost your power, right? Or where maybe you walk a fine line between being empowered and being disempowered. And maybe that's what I'm feeling today, is that place inside of me that still is healing and still is becoming empowered. The moon is also conjunct the black moon Lilith. If she's conjunct Pluto, she's conjunct the black moon Lilith a little bit later on, because the black moon Lilith is only 2 degrees away from Pluto. And that means we're also confronting our shadows today. And the shadow, this is kind of interesting, because the shadow in Capricorn, as far as black moon Lilith is concerned, is reputation. And so here, in my own world, I'm coming up against this woman who has a very powerful reputation. If you read her bio, she's got all kinds of qualifications and so forth. And so I'm having to confront my own reputation out in the world, but based in a different experience of how I came to learn the energy of the things I know about astrology. Just fascinating stuff if we really are willing to look at what is going on. So Mercury today in Gemini is trining Mars in Aquarius. Hallelujah. That gives us voice, that gives us action, that gives us some dynamic motion. It can also bring up confrontations in the way that we're speaking to one another. So try to remain calm, try to remain jovial. We don't need to get on one another. Just be in a very good place with your words. Don't let them slice and dice. Let them empower people. Good morning, Marlene. And how are you doing out there? Roseanne is saying, I have to say she was very approachable and lovely. I thought she was too. That's the best word. She was very approachable. And we are of a common mind. And I liked that. Then we're talking, of course, about Diane Lawson. So if you're just joining us, we were just sort of recapping some of the things from yesterday's broadcast, where Diane Lawson, author of Extraordinary Relationships Through Astrology, was on the show talking to us about astrology and the relationship, which we're always, all of us, interested in, by the way. So here we are. We've arrived at the Grand Trine. We've been skirting this all week. We've been building our energy up to it. But today I can say unequivocally, it is Grand Trine time, Grand Trine in water time. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here's the chart for today. And we have this grand water trine with Neptune and Pisces up here up at the top. See if I can find my pen. My little pointer up here, Neptune in Pisces. And we have Jupiter in Scorpio down over here. And we have Venus over here in Cancer. And what we have then is this energy of beauty and hopefully being able to tap into the emotional equanimity, being balanced in our emotions and recognizing the beauty and the flow and the harmony in the way the world works, becoming balanced in our emotions and recognizing the higher concepts that we come to with those 3 planets: Neptune, unconditional love; Jupiter, expansion and growth; and Venus, beauty and harmony. And so also about our relationships, right? So this grand water trine is in effect for at least, I think it was through June 7th. So we enter into the month of June with some beautiful energy. Now, if we move into Saturday, we're still under the influence, of course, of the grand water trine. Later in the day, the moon will square Uranus, And that's because it will have just moved into Aquarius, where, of course, it is squaring Uranus in early degrees of Taurus. And I have a really interesting Uranus in Taurus story to tell you about this morning. And I didn't have much time. Of course, my phone is set to give me alerts on the news, not because I'm a news whore, because I can't stand it, really. It just drives me crazy. But because when big things are happening in the world, I want to know about it because of the astrology. And it turns out it was it came from Twitter. And it was a quick note about a bank, a large bank, the ANZ Bank, which I think is the Australian New Zealand bank. It's like the big four banks in the Australia, New Zealand area. So it affects you all my Aussie friends out there. And that bank is looking at serious trouble in the very near future, perhaps even having some of their people jailed or brought up on charges of fraud. Was it fraud? It was something else, but it was the crack that I've been waiting to see in the Uranus in Taurus. So where the banking system, the financial system being shown for the cracks that are there, where they have not upheld the law, where they are coloring outside of the lines, right? So it's the first indication that I've seen about that. And then there was another little blurb this morning about our own country where 45, as Mimi would say, releases some information about a jobs report that the president is not supposed to be able to release until a couple of hours. I don't know, there's rules right here too, which of course he does not, because the rules don't apply to him, he thinks. And so there was some, stuff about how that would affect the markets this morning. And anyway, it's kind of funny to start seeing just the little cracks in the financial system and some of the things around banking and the stock market, etc. Good morning, Suzanne. It's good to see you out there. And anyway, so those are just little side stories to our paying attention to what's going on with Uranus and Taurus. But the moon will be squaring Uranus, which I would imagine is going to further enhance that information that's coming through. We may see some more of the effect, some more fallout from what is going on in the financial worlds. Maybe there's still some behind the scenes things, I think, that are going on that we haven't been privy to. And, Uranus doesn't like secrets, right? Jupiter and Scorpio can hold her secrets and let them out piecemeal. And I think that's what's holding sway right now. We're kind of being fed these little pieces, but eventually Uranus and Taurus is going to take over and we're going to have a watershed of some financial secrets coming out into the world. For us personally on Saturday, we may have to be very willing to change our plans, right? Because Uranus and the moon can sometimes upset the things that we thought we were going to do. Maybe you have some unexpected visitors. Maybe you have plans and they get unexpectedly changed. All I can say about it is go with the flow. The moon and Uranus will only be, together for a couple of hours. And who knows what fun things may happen when you are just going with that grand water trine flow, right? Who knows, right? Sunday. By the way, if Tom is listening, happy birthday, Tom. His birthday's on Sunday, June 3rd. And that is also a moon in Aquarius day. Great day to have a birthday, Tom. The moon will be conjunct Mars that day, and it will be trine Mercury and the sun and squaring Jupiter. So we do have some little tricky things going on. Nothing major. We've experienced these before, by the way, because the moon is always moving. And that's the beauty in this. This is why sometimes the moon is more subtle in the experience that we have of her, because she is hitting these things fairly quickly and moving on. And so what we experience is this kind of jolt, maybe, or if in the case of the moon squaring Uranus, or maybe we just kind of come to this understanding of something and then it moves on. And that's the case, right? Once a month, it's hitting these places. I thought of doing a study one time, and maybe after I get back from vacation in the summer, we'll do this. We'll chart the moon through human design every day and look a little deeper at what is the moon bringing us. So That's just an idea running off in my head. So Sunday, a day to go out, have some fun, go play, go do something different. Don't just stay at home and do the same old thing. Or if you're always on the go, maybe it's a great day to just stay at home and read a good book, do some, catch up on some shows on, Netflix or something. Depends on the weather. If the weather's really nice, get out, right? I know some of you are going to be in the rain and others are going to have the sun. Just do something fun and interesting, exciting and different, unique. Okay. So let's look at the Human Design Week. The Human Design Week begins tomorrow, and it is going to be an interesting week. And I feel like this is going to be a message for everyone, whether or not you have these gates in your human design defined or not. Mine happen to be open, so now suddenly they're going to be defined. The sun is going to be at gate 35, which is called the gate of progress. It is also a gate, and it's up on the throat center, by the way. I should have pulled a design chart this morning, and I did not. So let me just show you on our pretend chart here. So gate 35 is up here. By the way, this is not my chart. This person does have gate 35 defined. It's on the throat, and it's moving down toward the emotional center. And the earth is at gate 5, which is over here on the sacral, at the top of the sacral, reaching up to the identity center. So we have this energy then of gate 35, which is about progress. And often this is the gate of the person who is, what do you call them? The jack of all trades, right? This is a person, this gate, by the way, gate 35 is highly experiential. Means that often the people who have this gate defined have had many experiences in their lives. We get the idea of jack of all trades because they've dabbled, right? They've learned this skill, they've learned that skill, they've become the MacGyvers, right? We often call my husband MacGyver because I swear with duct tape he can do anything. And it's that kind of energy that we're looking at, this experiential energy. And what does that mean for all of us? Well, in human design, it is called progress. But if we look at the gene keys, of course, Richard Rudd takes that energy and he breaks it into the shadow expression of it, the gift expression, and the siddhi, or the highest expression of it. And what we see in the lower gate or in the shadow is hunger. What we see as the gift is adventure. And what we see in the highest expression is boundlessness. Say that 10 times fast. And so it is a time where I feel like we are all going to be busy. We're going to be doing different things. And I think our oracle card today is going to give us an idea of what it is that we should be busy doing as we move into the month of June. And Earth at gate 5, this is the fun gate, right? This is the gate. Literally, it's called the gate of rhythm. It is also called the gate of universal timing. And when we're looking at it in the gene keys, we see the shadow is that of impatience. And we see that the gate or the gift is patience. And we see that the highest expression of it is timelessness. So overall, what we see here in this coming week is about being in divine right timing and not succumbing to trying to push ourselves into doing something out of the timing, right? So being patient, I know that is our forte, right? As human beings, we love being patient. Not. So this will be a week for us to really focus in on being patient and doing what's in front of us. I find sometimes if I am confused, like I am sort of feeling like today, like what am I supposed to be doing? Then I just say that to Spirit, show me what to do, put it in my pathway, put it in front of me so I stumble over it and have to look at it and do it. Sometimes that works, right? And this is a week that is taking us into that idea of universal timing and progress being made based on that universal timing. And not first of all, we can't push the river. We can try, right? I'm sure all of us at some time or another in our lives has been trying to push something in, trying to make something happen when we really, it seems like every time we turn around, we're hitting a block, we're hitting a brick wall, or something, resistance in some way is stopping us. When that happens, what we can guarantee is that we're out of universal timing and that we are pushing the river. right? So this will be a week that really calls that to our attention, at least through human design. Let's take a look at the overall energy for the month of June. June is busting out all over, and it isn't going to be a bad month. It's got a couple of things that we want to be aware of, but it doesn't have any huge ingresses that, are going to be monumental, like Uranus moving into Taurus was for May. It is bound to have some interesting things happen. The most important thing, of course, are the two planets that are going to be changing to retrograde. Remember, this is the summer of retrogrades, and here we have it, right? The two of them setting up for retrograde here as we move into June. The first one, Neptune, goes retrograde on June 18th, and I love it when Neptune is retrograde. Although it can be a little disconcerting because, for people like me, I'm based in human design. I am emotionally defined. So the big decisions for me have to be made with clarity over time. So I have to check in with my emotions. How am I feeling about this? But Neptune retrograde often gives us a very big induction, let's say, or introduction of intuitive energies, of intuitive knowing. And so for some people, it is going to be really interesting, right? You get this strong, powerful intuition, and your intuition, as we know, at least through human design, is meant to be acted on in the moment. However, for those of us who have emotional definition, we are also having to wait through our emotional wave. And so we can get some mixed messages going on. But the reason I really love Neptune in retrograde is because it softens things up a bit. It moves us to being more, wanting to be more compassionate and unconditionally loving. And it is often where we relax some of our convictions and values around, our fundamental values. And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean where we can see maybe how brotherhood and sisterhood can enter into our lives, where we don't have to have so many walls and separations between us. And that is because we have this internal focus of compassion and unconditional love. So the key words then for this Neptune in retrograde are going to be compassion for oneself and letting that reflect outward to compassion for those in your world. And it also is going to heighten our intuition. That means paying attention to the signs in your outer world, to your dreams, to the information that's coming through for you. For those of you who have an open spleen, and if you have to know, of course, your human design about that. But if you have an open spleen, intuition comes for you inconsistently. It might come through dreams. It might come through knowingness. It might come through logic. It can come through coincidence and synchronicities. Things like that can be very confusing for an open spleen as well. But be watching for these things because we are very much more tuned in, inwardly focused on the information that's coming into us from our higher selves. The second planet, of course, we've already talked about before. I warned you in plenty of time that Mars will be turning retrograde on June 26th at 1:40 p.m. if you want to know, on the 26th, and that's West Coast time. And remember, Mars is a planet that rules our action, our ability to move forward. When it turns retrograde, the outward expression of our forward motion is sort of damped down in favor for more of the inner expression of that dynamic motion. So planning, organization, website building, all the things that you would do perhaps in setting up the foundation for something are more favored than the outward expressions of it. So remember, this isn't going to be a really good time for the 2 months that Mars is retrograde. Is not going to be a good time for us to start a new business, right? Don't jump out there and start it unless you've already had everything being built around it, right? Don't get this brilliant idea to do something and then try to launch it during the retrograde window. Do everything that you can in the background before, right? Do the inner work, do the quieter work, the behind the scenes things, set that foundation up. Mars is retrograde from 9 degrees of Aquarius back to 20 8 degrees of Capricorn. And so wherever that is in your chart is where there is this slowing down of the outer expression of the energy in favor of the more inner expression of the energy. And I think a few weeks ago, we did readings for several people about where that is in your chart. If you don't remember that and you need your chart, you know where to go. To my website, www.living-astrology.com. You can request a transit chart or a transit report, either one, and you'll be able to see where Mars is doing that in your chart. A couple of other things, our inner planets are dancing. They always dance faster than the others, right? Mercury moves into Cancer on June 12th, and Venus moves into Leo on June 13th. And then we have Mercury moving into Leo at the end of the month on June 28th. And really, that's about the biggest events for the month of June. I think we kind of deserve this, though, right? We've had so many weeks and days and months of, kind of chaotic energy. And I'm not going to say that Mars turning retrograde isn't going to be a little bit chaotic, because it can be. Because we're so used to taking action, right? Everything in our Western world is skewed toward production and doing. Well, when Mars turns retrograde, some things you just can't do, right? The doing is different. Now, if you're someone who has Mars retrograde by birth, and there's a few of you out there that do, then this will be a better time for you to be able to take action in the outer world. And it will be just a different story for you, as it would be for people who are experiencing it retrograde in their charts. The only way to know for sure, get a reading, right? Get a reading, and that's the final word, right? We're out here talking about these things in general terms, but I don't have access to everybody's chart in this moment to say, okay, for you, it's this way, for you, it's that way. If you're interested, get a reading. Okay, I think that's all I have for June. Let's look at the Oracle card, because I think you're going to find it's pretty interesting in light of all of the energies we've just talked about. The card is called Unfinished Symphony. It's actually kind of beautiful, blue. It's musical in its outlook. It is number 10. So there's something about a beginning here, right? 10 is a number that's elevated the 1 to the next level. So Unfinished Symphony, I actually pulled it upright. And of course, we're using the deck, The Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed, my favorite deck of the moment. The essential meaning for the card is unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closure, the need to make amends. So the Oracle's message is, this is a time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle or project and mastery of a lesson or skill. Before you can move forward, it's important that you come to terms with where you are now. Practice radical acceptance. Take inventory so that emotional and psychological closure can occur and the answers you seek will be found. You can't move forward if you are leaving things unfinished. Reflect on what has passed so that the symphony can finally end on a high note. By the way, I should preface this with what is the question that I asked, right? I asked the question, what can we look forward to in the month of June? Actually, I said it as, what is the highest thing for us to focus on for the month of June? The relationship message, moving on is difficult when love lingers. Things are left unsaid, and you haven't had the opportunity for closure in your relationship and in your heart. You can still feel bound up in relationships when closure is denied you. It's important to achieve this for yourself. Write that letter, make that call, or have that conversation over a cup of coffee. Right? For peace of mind, accept matters as they are, make amends if need be, and declare your feelings, even if only to yourself. Be clear about what was left unresolved, and close the door on the past so you can set yourself free. Only then can new love blossom. Great message. The prosperity message, make sure you complete projects now before starting new ones. Perhaps you have created something special that will increase your sense of abundance and bring you opportunities for wealth. However, if you don't see it through, it won't add up to anything but more clutter. This one is for me. Now is the time to put your nose to the grindstone and complete the tasks that have accumulated. Pay your bills, sign the documents, do your filing, hand in an assignment, complete a work of art. Tie up loose ends so you can move forward with surety, knowing you're on the prosperous path and feeling refreshed and excited about the future. That's a great message for us in the shadow of a lot of different retrogrades coming up. And let's see, Suzanne says, holy wow, so me. Oh my God, more me. And oh my God, that's me. Don't you just love it, Suzanne? I never know who the card is for, but I got a very clear message this morning that we needed to pull the card. Roseanne, great card. Suzanne, love the name. Mimi, I missed this message. Actually sounds good, possibly tackling new projects and prepping for a one-day event next Saturday. Just make sure you've completed everything before you do that, right? I think that's our message. And Roseanne, you asked a question, does she have other books? You know what? I don't know. I didn't, when I went, I know the book is available on Amazon, and I didn't see other books listed with her as the author. So I don't think so, but perhaps there is. All righty. So I think we have a pretty good weekend coming up. Remember the void, of course, moon on Monday. So try not to schedule any big deal things. What's funny is I had gone through, often when I do human design readings, there's the follow-up that people sometimes forget about, or I don't know, a lot of people don't take me up on the follow-up. So I went through my file of people who did not get their follow-up, and I sent out emails saying, if you need some closure on your human design, this is a great time to do it. So that is exactly what's happening on Monday. Most of my appointments on Monday are about closure on human design. Perfectly in alignment with a void of course moon, right? Not starting anything new, not having any big things going on, just getting things done. And I think this card helps us to see that we have to finish some things before we can start some new things. Makes perfect sense, except in our experience of life, we're often hopping and leaping from one thing to another. And yeah, that's a profound message, I think. All right. Any other questions from everyone out there? Suzanne, I love you. Me. Oh, wow. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I know I'm actually working this weekend and doing some fun things on Sunday. I have a human design, not a human design. I have a Gene Keys community call on Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's part of the ambassador program that I'm going through with them. So I'll get to be meeting with people from all over the world who are also in the ambassador program. So that's going to be fun. And I hope all of you have something fun and exciting to do this weekend, as well as using Saturday as a day to get some things cleaned up, done up, finished. Put the exclamation point on. And other than that, I wish you all a wonderful day. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you Monday morning. Bye for now.